If you want to see the impact of FMD, just go to Chobe, go to Ngamiland. I have investigated outbreaks, but I've never seen so much sadness.
A dark cloud hovering over Botswana for the last 2 years seems to be carrying on this year in terms of the economy. Never have we been before. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the economy today. We'll be talking about a smaller cloud. This is agriculture, specifically the beef sector, the foot and mouth disease. So I bring to you Dr. Odireleng Thololwane, who is the Chief Veterinary Officer from the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Agriculture. Thololwane,
thank you.
The first question I want to ask, Hela, is it indeed, is this a crisis, or is just we are overly panicking?
I think looking at it currently, you are right to call it a crisis. That we are having the threat of FMD Kako South, and that's where the majority of our wealth is in terms of cattle, and that's where our feedlots are, that's where our commercial farms are, that's where our BMCs. That's why I thought that really very, very worried. The economy has been hit because once we have disease, nobody wants to do trade with you. Once you can't trade with your animal, the value of the animal goes down. You just need one animal to declare an outbreak, because it only takes one animal to cross to Zimbabwe or South Africa, bring back FMD.
Welcome to the Growth Well podcast, where we tap into a well of knowledge, innovation, and leadership to fuel Africa's growth. Here, we explore thought-provoking insights and expert knowledge that empower individuals and businesses to thrive across the continent. Whether it's personal development or professional advancement, our conversations inspire action and impact. This is Growth Well, where ideas flow and growth begins. Let's dive in.
Hello, Growth Well friends. We are here again. This is Wabona Kangonyane from Gaborone, Botswana. Growth Well podcast that goes across the continent and across the world, providing you with very impactful insights about Botswana and about Africa and some of those pertinent issues that impact on our lives on a daily basis. And some of the topics are in agriculture, some are in mental health, some are in economics. We cover everything. But our position is to provide highly professional podcast that you can walk away and say yes. And indeed, some of you have given us feedback that you've really loved the content. Just last week, I was in Francistown, the second city of Botswana there, where I was bumping into lots of people who were saying, please, Rakangonyane, don't stop. This is impacting our lives, whether it's agriculture, whether it's mental health, whatever it could be. Now, today we have a topic that impacts on the economy. Some of you will know that Botswana has been going through a dark cloud hovering over Botswana for the last 2 years. Seems to be carrying on this year in terms of the economy. Never have we been before. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the economy today. We'll be talking about a smaller cloud, a cloud or a sector that contributes to the economy but seems to be going through some serious challenges. This is agriculture, specifically the beef sector and whatnot, except for the foot and mouth disease, which unfortunately we've had a spread across some areas of Botswana and also the epicenter being in South Africa. And today we are to discuss, just to get an update from the ministry about where we are with the FMD spread. So I bring to you Dr. Odireleng Thololwane, who is the Chief Veterinary Officer from the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Agriculture, to update us as to what's going on. Thololwane,
thank you.
Even if you say you are settled in Barlon Farms, but you are a market. We are starting on a bad note.
Yeah, Mary, ke motho le ntsala.
Ke motho le ntsala. A gona matsapa.
A gona matsapa.
Di tsamaya ka thelelo.
Re ka gagongwa ke ba bangwe.
Ya me ke a leboga. Ke a leboga. Rakanya mo re thutwa. In English we say, hey, this is really a very troubling situation. But before we start, if you can just update Botswana on your role at the ministry as Chief Veterinary Officer, I know that you are also an epidemiologist and you did your master's on these things. So just briefly about who you are as or Dr. Thololwane.
Dr. Odireleng Thololwane, currently the Chief Veterinary Officer in the Ministry and the Department of Veterinary Services. And I'm there as the head of the section called Epidemiology and Informatics as an epidemiologist. My role there probably is epidemiology is just about the study of diseases and their patterns and how to control them and how to prevent the spread of the diseases. So we cover a lot of range of diseases. We deal with issues of informatics, which is usually maps, to try to visualize these outbreaks in a form of a map. And also, so basically we collect intelligence on animal diseases, and we advise the director who in turn advise the political leadership on the control strategies of disease and stuff like that. So that's basically what I am doing and with my team in the ministry.
You seem to be the man. Tota,
You can say that.
No, thank you so much. On the like I told you earlier, I like to start on a lighter note. And there is this one that I brought up. There is the veterinary doctor, and then there is a medical doctor. I don't even know why you are not called medical. I thought maybe you are also in medicine. You tend to call the people ones a medical doctor. So I just wanted your view as to if you had to just tell us what's the difference. I know you all spend years and years in university doing the same thing, but what is the difference between these two professionals?
What I can say that I think because the animal, in terms of we are all animals, including dogs and cats. But the veterinary doctor deals with more species than the human one. So they also understand that we are the real doctors because we treat more than one species.
One species. And they're different. When you take a snake to a bat, which you guys deal with, there are very, very different configurations, if you may.
Anatomically and physiologically, but still we deal with the same issues because we have dogs with diabetes, heart conditions and stuff like that. But so you have this wide range of species that we are dealing with. And then we are also taking care of human beings because there are these things called zoonotic disease. They are surrounded between animals and human beings and vice versa.
Got you.
And about 60% of them, so if we don't do our job on the other side, because for we have had COVID on the veterinary side.
Is it?
Yes.
Before our COVID?
Yes, before your COVID. So we managed it. And then ultimately, we had that COVID spilling over because of that interaction between people, animals, and stuff like that. And also, we make sure that steak, that nice rib eye that you are having, is healthy. It won't transmit disease from the animals to the human beings. So we do a wide range of things, including issues of policies and stuff like that.
So we should stop treating you lightly.
Very, very much. Like if you go to America, it's very difficult to be a veterinary doctor.
Is it?
Yes.
Why?
You have to, because
the training and
the training, the acceptance at the entry level. You have to have a degree before you can start that.
I thought it's the same thing with medicine in the States. Am I right?
Yes, but their vets are much higher in the hierarchy. But here, because of our own, I don't know, we deem not to look at the things the same way.
Okay.
But that's how.
Okay. No, thanks, Doc. Thanks for clarifying that. I have to say now, I think I'll take you guys a little more serious. And then your ethics are different. I always But is it fair? Because I always think maybe your ethics, a human being dying obviously is a big deal. But when it comes to having a dog on the operating table, it dies, you just call me and say, hey, Mtsaro, you should lemon that. Or
But
the ethical code.
The ethics even within the
Animal.
within
Okay.
the animals ka teng.
Okay.
And then you find that other people and animals just an extension of rekgangwanyana. Because the difference between us and them ke kganya gore mo re bua ka po e leng gore there's a value attached to it.
Yes.
So rekgangwanyana o ta botsa gore gone mme jaaka e sudiana re ana I rekile $500,000. A ona le sheleng ya go re kopane go nna le wena ke re you are just talking about life, which is very very important, which does not have any value. But ka go rona issues how we treat the issues of economics that come into play. So that is that. So the ethics, even when you want to do research, you have to get ethics approval.
Okay.
Because currently issues of animal welfare, even go rekisa nama or nothing, they're a very big issue.
Yes.
So you would have an audit from EU, animal welfare.
Okay.
So if you go to BMC, there's somebody who's called an animal welfare officer. As you are studying these animals, they're being stunned in the right way.
Right from arrival, just the whole process before they...
Yes.
Okay.
So which is now is going back now to your farm to make sure that you might not have access to certain markets because now the people are very aware
No, thanks for that elucidation. Let's talk the subject matter. Kana, like we said, it looks like we know that the Botswana economy, how much, I know we've got diamonds, which are shaky, we've got tourism, but one of the very prime ones is on the beef side. Although agriculture, they say, contributes about 2%, the majority of that being on the beef side, which is currently being threatened by this FMD. But the first question I want to ask Hela, Doc Wore, is it indeed, is this a crisis, or is just we are overly panicking? Crisis meaning, obviously, it threatens people's lives, it threatens the economy. Is it right to call it a crisis at the moment?
I think looking at it currently, you are right to call it a crisis because for a very long time we never had a challenge ya bolwetse bo re tswa ka ko Africa Borwa. But now, and then we share a very long border with South Africa and Zimbabwe, which is about 2,500 kilometers. And then our controls tsa bolwetse ne ntse di kganetse ka ko north where the risk was coming from. And this thing is coming to us at a point now when the economy is not doing good for us to respond at that level. And then also, since about 2000 and so forth, the outbreaks of the disease within the SADC region, the risk increases. And unfortunately, there's the other risk comes from East Africa.
That far?
Through countries Zabo, Zambia, Mozambique, then South Africa, and then Matokosha Mababi.
Yes.
So when your neighbor's house is burned, you can't say you are not bothered. And gape kore mo Botswana, almost everybody's a farmer. And then everybody would drive his or her living from dikgomo. So without dikgomo, di sa kgone gore movement restrictions e kgone go tlhabiwa, go na le dio tsa Setswana tse e leng gore batho ka ditumo tsa rona di a harologana. O ntsha ngwana mo tlung wa phekolwa gore you cannot use that animal the way you would want to use it. Gore le one nama e simolola e shorta kana gore demand and supply rule applies, the prices they are go up. Then the normal Motswana on the street was a babaletswe ke itsholelo. Gore yaanong that buying power gets severely eroded. So you find that a lot of people, we are sponsoring everything that we are doing, mostly from farming. No matter what skill is kae. But that one or two animal, it is critical to the livelihood ya Motswana ko gae.
So this thing, there is actually shortage of beef in Botswana. It's real. I was just in South Africa 2 weeks ago, and as I told you earlier, the price of simple minced meat is gone over the roof. And steaks, you can get steaks now for 200 rand per kilo. I mean, it's really, really astronomical. So even in Botswana right now, there's a shortage of beef because of the restrictions, which we'll talk more about in a minute.
Yeah, going back a little bit, no go tswetswe metsamayo the whole country. Lord, you can only buy meat how and things. Or now, fortunately, ka kwano mo Gaborone kana re mo zone 11, which is very huge. Ya ko Sekoma ke le boa gape ya ko Dibete.
Okay.
We had BMC. So and then obviously because as a business person also you'd obala the environment, and then some of the shortage will be made. Sometimes it becomes artificial shortage because now you want to benefit from what is going on.
Yes.
But yes, we cannot deny gore that gona le ka batho ne ba tshela ka teng ba bangwe ba itlhabela hala kwa, then you come and keep your beef inside the fridge, and then you eat there for the whole year. Now you are forced to go and buy somewhere else. So there's shortage, but not at a level that we would believe the prices should be where they are. But that's another issue for another day. Because now, as a businessman, during crisis, others see crisis,
as an opportunity.
Others see opportunity.
That's correct.
So it just depends on which side of the fence you are looking at things.
Just update us now on the spread from epidemiological perspective. What is the current situation in Botswana where, as you said, it's South Africa is covering the South Africa threat as well. Where are we right now with the FMD across the country?
Currently, as a country, we have matsamao wa laola tlhakolomolomo ka methale e harologaneng. The one ya ntlha ke yone kgang ya diterata tsa taolo matlhoko a leruo mo go teng disease cordon fences.
Cordon fences, yes.
And then
which are all over Botswana, again, as part of control on an ongoing basis.
Ya no re approacha kgang ya rona on a zonation basis. Gore zone di a ikemela. Unlike in South Africa, whereby the whole country is just
one zone.
Yeah. So ele kgang ya go tila gore ha go ka nna le tlhagogo ya bolwetse in one zone is ka yama the person who on the far extreme of so that's one of the things. And also we have been doing vaccination ko kgalong tsa Bokone Bophirima, Okavango, Northwest and Chobe. And then we have the rest of the country has been a green zone. We have those zones tse di simolang ko 1 di hala ko 13. 1 being Chobe, 13 being ko Kgalagadi. So currently we have bolwetse tshantse bo ikganeletse hala ko kgaolong ya 6B. E coverang bone bo Jakalase, bo Senyawe yalo.
On the northeastern corner.
On the northeastern corner, just on top of that Bisoli farm. Northern part of Bizoli farm go gone corner lead case thing. And then across the road ke 3C. War 3C go gone go bo khare go bo Moroka go bo Lakwana go na di case thing. So currently our surveillance detected bolwetse hala gone go in those two zones. So our controls currently we vaccinated. And then today we are starting the second round of vaccination as per the manufacturer's recommendation. Ile thuso ya potlako ene re ha. May there's still going to be a contingency plan gore me gone go ha re a kopela how are we going to continue? Gore ultimately now the country leadership will take a decision gore how do we manage FMD kakwa. But the truth of the matter, there's FMD in Zimbabwe along those lines, as Gilera communicated through a press release earlier this year. In the Plumtree area, there's an outbreak. In Plumtree and Jackalas one, there's one community which is about 10 kilometers from each other. But the Mera is kana do communities 10 kilometer radius. And then also we have the challenges of these control fences. And also with the economic situation in Zimbabwe, kana ga ba sa tlhole ba kgona teng. Lorna ya no hare economy ya rona go rona re kgona ntse re kgona teng.
Yes.
And then with South Africa has always been our safe space. But now South Africa is no longer the safe space. So gore now ra take you on both sides. And then kana mahatsanza sena tlhakolomolomo in SADC area ntse ile rona Eswatini, Lesotho, and Namibia. Currently, Lesotho has been affected.
It's been hit. There are
yes,
cases there now.
Yeah, there are cases. The Eswatini one is still there since the start of the year, and also Namibia. But now we have managed to contain that disease thanks to our own disease control fences. Re dumela gore gone mo bekeng e we will be reviewing the movement protocols.
Okay.
What
is the trend after you vaccinate and you make sure that the cordon fences, which has been a bit of an issue in terms of maintenance, the cordon fences, am I right?
Yeah.
So you are confident that currently, because the situation seems to have stabilized, I mean, how do you monitor that the situation is or is getting worse? Is it by the number of newly infected? How do you assess that?
Yes,
as you survey.
One of the things that we do as a country on annual basis, because we are members of World Organization for Animal Health, just an opposite of WHO. So what happens is that we have to we do surveillance, normal surveillance, which is also what they call passive surveillance. We go and attend the case and stuff like that. And then there's also active surveillance where we go and take blood from these animals, the antibodies to say, is this animal affected or not? So currently what we are doing both of that. And also we are doing and then also we engage the public.
Okay.
Like currently we have a joint task force which is an all government approach.
Okay.
Under the technical advice of the Director of Veterinary Services. And we have a call center. We have a WhatsApp line, we have a toll-free line, and other lines. And we also have psychosocial support. For through all these things, and then we vaccinate to try to calm down the disease in terms of gantsi ba bangwe wa go hisa around gore o tlhoke go spreadela teng. So we have done that. And then we are going again the second time doing the same thing, continue ka surveillance. Ka gore yanong o go khomisa your trading partners gore o bo taka madi a ko lebong, because internationally gore tlhakolo molomo ke ha bona dikai ebile ke ha ona le lab results that is supang gore nya there is no circulation of FMD or the circulation of FMD. So you have to prove that at a scientific level. Because now there's that issue of trust and whatsoever. So that's what we are doing, and we have also mobilized the community. The community Botswana ba emeka dinao. They are contributing more back in the trata. Some are patrolling fences, which is something se leng gore silence ga ibile se nametsa pelo gore re mmogomo. There's nobody who's saying your fences are down. Now it's our fences, which is where that's where we should be. And that's our hope that going in the future, that's where we are going to be.
Why is it happening so much this time around? I mean, we've had spreads before, or situations where certain zones were affected, but I've never seen this picture where communities stand up, they are mending the fences. I mean, in our area, Yaborolong, I've seen that happening. I think around Surule area, you've seen clips of people from communities coming up, contributing to actually mend the fences, contributing material. Why this time around? I don't know if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen it happening where communities actually really stand out and participate.
Yes, I think we need to understand that Canada thing is very inherent in us as Botswana. Kanya ya gore re ipelege motho le motho kgomo wa agileng UB. So re boetse ko marakanong a ditsela. Mme re dirwa ke seemo, one of the things ke seemo sa itsholelo. Gore in the start government o taba a sa tlhoke thuso ba tswela ile ena o irang dio tse, and then people you tend not to appreciate because you are not part of the process, right?
Yes.
So gore kganya itsholelo. And also now I think there is a change at BMC. Hela gone go the price ke bo 58 pula gone
So that excited
you are excited to sell.
Yes.
And you see now the value of the animals. I believe now because the number of animals also has gone down. So the commodity beef the price thing goes up because now it's only in a few hands. So people understand the value of the animals. And also this situation pele we used to import a lot of breeding stock from South Africa. Now things have changed. So if I lose this animal but I don't have any replacement, where am I going to get it? And then because I was one of the people that went to Jakalasi for investigation, the first team that arrived there from
the Northeast, yes.
Air, so you could see a lot of sadness.
Oh, you could see people's faces.
You could see a lot of sadness. Yeah. I've investigated outbreaks, but I've never seen so much sadness.
Oh.
The other thing, these people, some of them received the animals in 2025. They're
restocking because they've been hit before.
Yes. And also the cycle of the outbreaks have gotten shorter because it used to be 10, 11 years.
Now it's a few.
Now it was there in 2022. Now it's back here again. So yeah, no gore budiba jo buile ngwana ga mmago. Le yana go tara ha tsana teng. Ya no re ho.
Yo.
And we can learn from other countries. Zimbabwe used to be that powerful. Then the way they are. And then they had to learn how to do things anew. So we are at the point where now we are learning the things anew. And we are going back to the bank. Because now the economy has gone down.
It's gone down, yeah.
Now, because all of us, we have cattle.
No, that's very touching. Like you said, people are really being affected. And I think for our viewers elsewhere in the continent or global, for a country of Botswana, cattle are really dear. It's a very, very deep cultural affair. That's why just when you have a disease like this, it really goes to their heart. I mean, I know cases where people have actually collapsed because of drought or something, just because of how central cattle are to their lives. Now, Doc, I wanted to go to understand the World Organization on Animal Health has now declared Botswana as a, not FMD free. What are the implications? You haven't talked about the exports. Obviously, we're relying on exports to EU regarding our beef. Very good beef. To add to that, but now that we have an outbreak, what does it mean around the trading and export of our beef to Europe?
Yeah, we have this international organization, World Organization for Animal Health, or formerly it was called OIE.
Yes, I remember that name. I was wondering why when I was researching, I get hit by this name.
So
okay. It's the same organization, by the way.
Yes,
the same. Okay.
They've just changed from French to English.
Okay.
So as a member, on annual basis, we have to demonstrate, because agreed also facilitate issues of trade. We have to demonstrate to them or to other countries through them. So every year we do a dossier, which we did. It was accepted. And then zonal freedom of as in Namibia, not the whole country. They are not free for FMD.
Okay.
Yes. So automatically I go into the system and update them. And that information becomes public. So you can see all the outbreaks from all over the world.
It gets alerts,
That's all the diseases and stuff like that. And other countries that we are trading with. And then we come to our trading partners. Our trading partners on two fronts. on that same front as the OA or OIE formally. And also we are dealing with them in issues of trade. But jaka re itse tlhakole molomo ke bolwetse jo bo e leng gore ga bo bolae leruo thata, at least in here. So it's a disease of trade. So obviously we have two major trade partners externally, the EU, especially go Norway, and then we have the UK. So because we have to inform them, because there's issues of transparency. Kore ha o ta go mpolela bolwetse after beke le go tshepa I can't trust you. So on weekly basis we have to update them. So we updated them, and then rona ka bo rona we decided to say we are imposing a self-imposed reimposer movement restriction on exports and all that, because that helps us to look gore bolwetse bo go kae faster, re emise metsamao and stuff like that. So we wrote them. EU didn't suspend us.
Okay.
The UK, they just suspended the whole country from the start. So currently, if you go to EU regulations, they have opened us for export.
Okay.
But go ra re kana kgaolo ele ya 3C ba babedi go na le dukile maitengwe, but go EU is one zone. So currently, those are the zones that they have closed. If in our next review of the movement protocols, and then we will explain them further when they are out, because and then stuff like that. So go EU, there are certain areas that we have closed, but obviously the new law that is out in specifically for Botswana, ban some of areas because of risk, you know, with 3C, 6B, jalo. And also the country is divided into territories, which is just a cluster of zones. Territory is the other one. Like initially we used to have just zone 6. Then we divided it into A and B, looking at the risk. Go B, kako bojakalase kako go kwa. Go nantse go nna le outbreak, khandele ke butele, khandele ke matsiruje, khandele ke jakalase. So when you take it out, I got these issues. Because you
have a cordon fence now.
Yeah, because you have cordon fence and controls that separate. I
got you.
Renegotiate trading partners.
When you say UK suspended, is it suspended those zones, just for our viewers to understand, or BMC does not export to them for now at all? And EU is taking from the FMD free zones, but not from the affected areas. Just clarify that.
Yeah, what I can say that too. The restrictions that we have put as a country.
Correct.
It's better you self-impose rather than the imposition is coming from outside. Because they have you for recovery, it's long term.
Yeah.
So so the UK it has closed the whole country.
Okay.
So EU and it would say the affected areas only.
Okay.
And those that we say it's a high risk area. Okay. In the law also 10 kilometer radius. Or within 10 kilometer radius, we cannot directly do trade with them. And the other zones, zone 7, the EU export areas. EU not directly through other zones that do qualify.
Okay.
EU and as the country now to lift the restrictions
in that area.
Yeah, the restrictions are export.
Okay.
Because the current thing or export is still prohibited. But once we have sorted ourselves, we open, we'll be able to export to the market or EU.
Okay. So there's no question that the economy has been hit because BMC can't export to certain areas now because of this ban.
Yeah, the economy has been hit because of the obvious thing, the response plan, 97 million. That 97 million was not kept there for FMD controls. There's no way. Cannot there's nama table bay.
They get recalled. They have to come back.
They have to stay put until now. Was na go dirwa trace back, trace forward. Gore a gona kgomo e pene etswa go the affected areas and stuff like that. You go and do that. So your traceability, and then you demonstrate to your trading partner. Or I've done ABC. Ke surveillance. Ke trace back, trace forward. More containeering. A gona kgomo e pe etswang go. So gona le kgomo e one that destroyed the whole consignment.
Yeah.
So the economy has been hit in that. And then obviously, me as an employee, I'm still getting paid.
Correct.
The electricity is still running. The fridges are still running with beef that is not moving. That's a loss. You are still expected to spend something even when you are not at full production.
Correct. No, I get it. Now let's there's an elephant in the room for this time around, which is our epicenter, which is South Africa. Because I've been watching, the Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it properly. He'll forgive me. But he's made certain statements. As an example, he said that we must be honest with the public, with our farming sector regarding FMD. This is a battle we are currently not winning. I'm quoting him. For this reason, we are now significantly strengthening our approach to regain control of the situation. So it gives you a feel as a farmer, as you know, I'm a farmer as well, that this is a very fluid situation. And as we discussed before we started the podcast, now the movements and the way it's been surveyed and found out is getting closer and closer to Botswana borders. Just tell us about the South African situation and how it's because I know it's been there for 6-7 years, where there's been restrictions where we can't buy bulls there and all that kind of stuff. But now it seems to be really getting worse in terms of being too close for the southern part of Botswana, which has been FMD free for as long as I can remember. Talk to us about that.
I think the South African situation is kind of a complex situation. If you go and read, there was the late Gavin Thompson. He was also a vet. I think he did highlight the challenges that are there. One of the first challenges, I think, as Africa, we are not in the forefront in terms of research for development. So there are a lot of standards at OIE formally now. They are based on the serotypes or bolwetse jo re se tsang bona ka kwana. Because go na le malwetse a mabedi jwa rona kwana ke e leng gore ga such serotypes tse di anamang because of dinare.
Okay.
E be go na le mo go teng Eurasian serotypes tse di anamang from kgomo to kgomo.
Okay, cow to cow and then buffalo to cow.
But they are why, because they don't have these African buffaloes. The pizza ya the set serotypes kwano ke the African buffalo.
Yes.
Because there's another one called the water buffaloes, which
which we don't have
India.
here.
And now because we are not in there, the standards tend to be set up at that level. They talk to the other serotypes that are more aggressive, spread from cow to cow. The genesis the African buffalo. But the suspicion now it has adapted because it's a virus, it replicates, it changes and whatsoever. Maybe I think what Kenya they've found in their research that it has now adapted to that it's been now spread from cattle to cattle.
Okay.
So the South African situation, because Canada they used to have the whole country as a free zone. The only area was KwaZulu-Natal around Kruger, like we do have Kobo Mau. But because of, I don't know what other issues, the disease kept on spreading. But the difference,
from that area?
yes,
From that area in KZN.
And then the issue that they also had was issue that rona ka setse re buile rona re laola kanamo ya bolwetse ka movement restrictions. But the bonnet, what they are doing is that the auctions are continuing, which
As we speak.
Yes, which now go dira the control very difficult. So when you can see gore yaanong, that's why I thought I really very very worried about what is going that side, because somebody was saying in 50 years that we are having the threat of FMD kako south in the southern part of the country
of Botswana because of the South African spread.
And that's where the majority of our wealth is in terms of cattle. And that's where our feedlots are, that's where our commercial farms are, that's where our BMC is. So you could see how complex and how worried we are in terms of that. And also you define that we have different kind of approaches, how we approach the disease, because you cannot vaccinate when animals are moving, because you have to revaccinate the same animal twice in whatever period according to the vaccine manufacturer. So what are the distance? And also I think they had a challenge or they used to have Undersport, they are producing their own vaccine.
Okay.
So now ultimately now they are relying on us and other countries
to supply them with vaccine, because I know they've been buying from our Botswana Vaccine Institute, our manufacturer here. Yeah.
And then the burden increases in terms of when you have bolwetse mo South Africa, Eswatini, Lesotho, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe, a bit of Namibia, they're vaccinating, Angola, DRC and whatsoever. Where the burden now of the disease intensifies, and because of economical issues, the patterns of how people are living down there on the ground, they change. Something that maybe we have not been so much alive to. Other issues are issues of land use. And also, because agriculture is, in terms of the sectors, is one of the, like the firstborn or something. But the other new babies are born that now are taking attention. So we really need to go back to that point where this firstborn need to be taken care of.
Again,
so that because hawa o a le mong le mong. So it's a complex issue. Fortunately, we managed to meet with them, even though it was at a provincial level, which is a good thing for them to provide us with intelligence.
Which province specifically?
Why
don't you meet at national level? Why do you meet at... I mean, I was watching the minister, his face very concerned. I was like, okay, I'm sure he's having coffee with Reddy Goloti to discuss the same thing, because they get hit. We have a very, very close, we're very close to being hit if this happens. And I want you to also to touch on how close the disease is now from the borders of Botswana, which is the big worry.
The expectation, countries have this memorandum of understandings and whatsoever, whereby this is how we are going to deal with each other in terms of agriculture. So the expectation this is binational bilateral talks at those level, high level from president level. But things have not been going where we expect them to go. So it means now we are restarting things at our own level.
Yeah.
Because the most important thing currently is FMD. And then so once we have some form, we have developed a relationship with our colleagues across the fence. It becomes easier now. We open doors for the adults.
Okay. Like as if you are not an adult in that space. And the province that you were referring to, the Northwest, where you've met, and what has been the picture now in terms of threat to Botswana, and how far in the areas that Botswana can say, I need to mobilize and look at our fences, because, as you said, such a long line. But which areas are most vulnerable at the moment?
Of recent, we have had a report, the only province that was left which is the Northern Cape, was also hit. And that's somewhere closer to the Molopo Banyana Farms area. So and also we follow these things more on the website in rona ya OA. So we go there on daily basis, whether there's an outbreak or not. Because I can agree, the issues of issuance of permits. So you need to issue permits and stuff, but you need to have done risk analysis. So we do risk analysis on daily basis. So me go lebega ile gore bolwetse go ka bone bo ntse bo a ra tumela. So as much as mo re kgona internally, we need to be very wary of how things are turning out. Kore hela kry le wena o ntse ha tsa le bile gore bolwetse bo simolola ko KZN bana ba Gauteng jwa tsanagale jwa tsana mo Northwest jwa hela bo buile gape. You need not to be told that you need to run or you need to stand up. That's why farmers down south are up and fixing fences, which is very commendable. But the risk is there and it's real. Ra tshwana gore la go ka nna le movement relaxation internally. Yes, South Africa, because unfortunately we don't have much control over it as a country because it's issues of sovereignty and stuff like that. But we are trying to work with them so that we can close that gap that was between us and them. But the future looks bright in that regard.
Is it?
Yeah, in terms of us working together.
Okay.
And also because one of the controls that also the regional approach to the cancer maladies. Because FMD, like other diseases, is a transboundary disease.
It doesn't care about borders.
Yeah, it doesn't know what this is Botswana, this is Zambia. So we are trying to have a regional approach, which there's a fora ya bo director ba veterinary le ba animal production, which is called the Livestock Technical Committee ya SADC. So are na le bolwetse ra ba kwala ba bo le bone ba gore ba itse gore we have a disease re tsama ha kae. So the expectation that continues and we have a regional approach like how South America has done it.
Let's demystify the disease itself. Just define it in a way that a normal me, like any other lay person, can understand what the disease, or what actually happens. You talked about the types earlier and how it manifests in terms of, so that farmers out there or somebody who passes, when he sees a cow, especially that the most dominant farming styles in South Africa and Botswana is large, still communal. So we come across animals. How do you see that an animal has a high likelihood that that's FMD? So just define the disease for us for a bit.
Yeah, basically, FMD is a viral disease. So as we know, viruses don't have treatment. So we usually prevent through vaccination. So it affects mogoten hoofed animals. That's your cattle, your small stock, which is sheep and goats and pigs, and the same animals in the wild. Even though they don't show clinical signs
Your
that
antelopes,
much, they will get affected. And in Southern Africa, the pizza ya bolwetse is the African buffalo. And then and also this disease, it spreads through mostly transmission is contact of animals. So that's why now movement is critical, because if animals do contact the disease spreads. And then we have about 7 serotypes. 3 of them, the Bona Moboro Africa.
You just say serotypes like as if everybody knows what.
Or
what is serotype? What is that?
Give me huta ya this is virus.
Virus, a type of virus. Okay.
Let's say a bigger family. Then the brothers, then the brothers have kids and stuff like that. So when I serotype, the topotype. The topotype is more ke habu strain. Because the change. Le bone bo bata gore bo survive.
Yes, bo adapt.
So when I want bolwetse bo kgona go change, becoming more aggressive or less aggressive. That's why research is very critical. Those tse tharo tseo di bona mo borwa jwa Africa.
Okay.
So go raya gore bolwetse jwa teng gantsi bo nna a little bit more subclinical kore ga bo sepedi kai thata jaaka bo ko Europe and Asia. The Eurasian one is very aggressive. Jwa rona gantsi a se gantsi o bona dikai mo dipuding, even though re bela gore di a amega ka tsela nngwe. Go raya gore dikai o tla di bona gore bolwetse bo tsena mo seruiweng. Obviously the first clinical signs ke tsone kgomo e nna bongola, ga e je sentle, e simolola e nna le mogote a kere. Go raya gore the second thing ke gore yaanong e tswa mo go ka reng go kate di-vesicles or maropi. And these vesicles di bonwa mo ganong le mo ditlhakong.
Inside the mouth itself.
Yes,
Okay.
hands, foot and mouth.
Okay.
Go raya gore these vesicles ultimately they rupture. Ha di rupture go nna the ulcer. But these vesicles, the ulcers, they didn't very superficial. So you can differentiate them from a cut or a trauma because they are more superficial on the superficial layer.
Okay.
So obviously kgang o tla bona ke kgang ya go tlhotsa because between ditlhakwana
go dule
these vesicles, the ulcers, le gone around what we call the coronary band, gone ha tlhako e helelang teng e kopa le that hoof. Go raya gore ha go tswa go raya gore kgomo ya tlhotsa. Yaanong because mo ganong go botlhoko e simolola yaanong e nna le mo go teng frothing, e tsholola mathe. E tsholola mathe ke gore ga e kgone go ja. So wa re mathe ha e lala ka gore yaanong dintho di mo ganong. And then from there go raya gore ultimately dikgomo tse ha di e nngwe e senang bolwetse le e na le bolwetse ha di amana in that close contact e kgona gore bolwetse bo tswa ko go engwe bo tsena mo go engwe. Hence issue ya movement e le very critical. So FMD usually in calves, especially in dairy, e kgona go cause cardiac diseases and kill those calves, especially mo dairying. This disease become very worse in dairy setups because kana kare di agamiwa di tsamaya on the concrete
hard
floors.
ground. Yes, on hard ground.
So it becomes very, very worse in that regard. And also they are close
They are
the
very
head.
close, yes.
They close the head, so disease spreads very fast.
Quickly, yeah.
So the bigger the head, the more disease spreads. And then obviously go ra tsone dikai tsa teng tsone tseo tse seng ke di balolotse. But FMD, most of it yone ya hola. But the downside of it is a trade issue because the controls are very, very expensive. Because once we have the disease, nobody wants to do trade with you.
Yeah.
So that's the downside of everything. So all these movement restrictions, prohibitions, di go kganya gore trade. Because once you can't trade with your animal, the value of the animal goes down. So if you want to see the impact of FMD, just go to Chobe, go to Ngamiland, and see where there's richness here and poverty at the same time.
Even though they have cattle, because of the restrictions, and they can't go to certain markets in terms of export, affecting the price.
Yeah, so when you'll be getting, let's say, 30-something pula per kg, the other one is getting 58.
Yeah.
Almost double. But you still have to go through
the same costs.
No, not same cost, more cost, because you have to vaccinate. Even though government is doing the vaccination, but still vaccinate. When you want to sell the animal, has to go through the quarantine. It has to go through the bony, the African market.
Yes.
So now you have to spend more there than here.
Okay. Why is it so? Why does it spread so? Is the spreading unique to FMD compared to other viruses?
I think the spread FMD is mostly the same as for COVID.
Any other? Okay.
For COVID, because the lands and then especially the worst thing that happened is it 01 go UK that they have a lot of piggery. So pigs they will take a small virus, then they multiply it, then hadi hemayana because of the humidity of the environment during certain times of the year. In a virus in a survivor in that cloud, so it could spread through the wind from farm to farm. Fortunately here that kills the virus. So that's why the movement of animals it plays a critical role. So you have to vaccinate and do movement controls and farmer compliance because, for example, if people don't report the disease, it's going to have a huge impact as compared to Henry reputile go le early. And then we could contain it in a small piece of area and the costs become less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And because what really surprises me is, are these, because you keep touching on trade, it affects on trade. And some people have said before, are we concentrating too much on these very high regulations, the EU and the UK, at the expense of other markets that would have less requirements on our FMD risks? Is that a fair thing to say? No, just sell to other markets. We can get the same price. And what's the issue there? And then we have, Botswana is invested in Namibia. I think we are the only ones that export to those markets because of our regime when it comes to FMD.
Yeah, you would be saying very casually or other markets. But the question is what other markets?
Yeah.
Because the EU as the trendsetter. Once o sa tshepiwe ke mongwe o e leng gore is up there, you are going to lose trust with everybody. So it means, and also, for example, people will talk about the China market or sell to China and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the China market is more stringent
than
because
the EU.
Yes, because issues of lumpy skin with the China market is a big issue. And you know what is happening out there.
It's hit us bad this season,
Here, and then there's other diseases that are on top of there that you need to provide guarantees even more than the EU. And then the EU is much more of a trusted trading partner. Even now things are getting better. They're offering the best. BMC currently, it survives EU market. Because but the requirements ka tse re tlhokiwang re kgakanyana go bua nnete ke dilo tse e leng gore rona tota re godile re itlhela borra rona ba di dira tse e leng gore unfortunately rona we tend to remotely do farming because one of the critical things like kganya traceability, your animals having tags so e leng gore now you can demonstrate to a buyer gore nya kgoma me tsaletswe kwa kile a kentwa yana ha o je se motho taramizing o letse mo kentile maabane.
Correct.
Kgomo ya go ga ise ke ye ko lehelo le na le bolwetse. So it helps you to tell your story without sweating. But and also gape kgang engwe ke kgang ya gore you need to provide guarantees tsa gore dikgomo tsa me ga ise ke di ko go na le bolwetse teng. But if re sa di se dikgomo tsa rona di tsamaya jaaka di tsamayana, it becomes very difficult for us as your mouthpiece now to provide guarantees. Because, for example, I think the EU audits, some of them that are made public, you would see that the main issue ke kgang ya gore we are not compliant in terms of traceability. We're supposed to be at 80% according to the law, but we are at 50s, 40s.
Really?
Yes. And how do you go sa le koloi se sena e sa kgethelwa e sena plate number a go twa e rekisediwa le wena you have to be worried gore yone e tswa ko kae.
Okay,
ke gore gongwe ke a bogodi. Yes. So ya no imagine o rekisa dikoloi that are not traceable. How do you as a seller or a marketer, how do you ka nola sehuba gore nya mme e tswa ko boketekete ebile ene e riana that thing. So I think those basic things, like currently I think we want to introduce issues of quality assurance so that ha lo re kgokana batla go to do certain market, you're supposed to comply to that market. Ebile tota I think one thing that we are doing in reverse that as farmers we need to take up ke yone kgang ya gore you find that the government will be in the forefront dictating on to us. E le gore tota tshwanetse e le rona ka bo re le ko pele for example na re batla China market and you have seen the requirements, rona re le puso we help you to provide guarantees for they meet this market. So now currently is now government doing good things are the other way around. If you go to other countries, when the business or the farming community that are in the forefront, decisions when they are made, they are there on the table. But you find that now you are the government is ahead of you, which I believe now with this scenario already the farmer ba engage ba kanya ditarata ba irang, we will continue in that same trend. And then go account ro khoma go ne le go ka ikentilo leng ga ya kento yang, it shouldn't be something that is very, very difficult. Because one of the things that the auditors will ask you, highly 3 months, it's a brand. 6 by before 6
Well,
months.
you keep saying Molao. This is a regulation. There's a law. It's a law.
Yeah, there's a branding act. And there's also Diseases of Animals Act, all the way from 1977. So you cannot say we don't know about it. So le statutory instruments yone e buang ka kgang ya traceability. E le gore e ne e tlaletsa mogolo wa di-bolas like.
So if you don't comply, what's the big deal?
So if you don't comply according to the law, we should take action against you.
And you know where I'm getting to.
And then gore kana di tsa Setswana and then so it becomes easy if you are the one who's self-regulating.
Yeah.
Self-imposed. It becomes easier rather than when the force is coming from external force. So without that, we don't comply. So how do you explain to an auditor or 6 months but when I see in your system a 3-year-old animal has been tagged and you want to sell it to me. Hey, how do I answer that? Because even the sensors the expectation this thing should be coming from what? From Bates.
Yeah.
So we need to get closer to Bates and get
and Bates gives all sorts of numbers that do not reflect on the ground. Now, this is leading us to the big question. And I know that you represent the ministry, and I want to see your professional hat here, Santa. And I know that I've said this before to some people really not feeling that statement. Yeah, it touches on traceability, on overall management of our cattle. And you've heard the president has gone on record saying 5 million by 2030. And, the push, I know year one has finished. And there are a lot of structural defects in our beef production system across the value chain. But for me, the biggest one is at production level, where traceability comes in, grazing comes in, animal disease controls comes in. And Botswana has been known for very good strategies for controlling disease. And here we are, we're at risk. And my question is, are the structures failing? And I'm asking you point blank because, we don't expect as farmers that you should not be cooperating with your neighbors because by and large, Botswana's impacts have come from our neighboring countries, specifically Zimbabwe, as you might be aware. So are we, like I said, this is appealing to you, Hore. Are we, and you've said it, the regulations are not being, affected, people being fined and all that for doing things that are against the law. So what is your position? What is, as a professional at the center of the ministry and saying, guys, this is what we've got to do. We've got Botswana Vaccine Institute, world class, I understand, in terms of manufacture of vaccines. So, but we still have disease episodes like we're having right now. So where are we getting it wrong? You can spice up by saying, this is what we are getting right, so that we don't, we can have a step. But I think we need to know the structural weaknesses that you at the ministry are battling with so that we can reflect. Yes, Botswana standing up and fixing fences, and I don't think that's not going to move the dial. I don't think that's going to move the dial. Overall, research. I've talked so much about if Botswana does not research we will end up in these type of situations, because it is the data, it is the patterns, it is the innovation in terms of how to improve this beef ecosystem.
Difficult question, but let me. I think the ministry has come out very clear, which also farmers are ba bona. Ke kgang ya gore the extension, the ministry is not that much closer to the people as it used to be. And the worst thing, ke gore gape e be e le gore even farmers, because our fathers were there at the farm level. So you find that most of the people who are also working, they are the ones who own cattle. And when we are here talking like this, we don't know where our animals are.
Correct.
I remember one farmer in Ngambian, really Dimu, if I may, said that he has a shop. So when and he has a farm, Atini atlapi imisa ko shopong, he gets very worried. Make it 25
at his shop.
Yeah, but when the animal is not there, it atakam, so it
Just wait, yes.
but you are talking about 15,000 that you cannot see. But you are paying more attention to the 25 pula worth of thing. So from the both sides, things have collapsed. In terms of now, people are now moving from the rural areas into the cities, and that the same people ba mad. Farming, because now the cost of farming has gone up. So it means lack of extension. Let the new things that are coming up, really nailane le barui sentle. Mo gongwe le ha mo gongwe re ka go re le kante go di naya le barui ga ba re tlhela ba tlhokomedi hela ba ileng gore they cannot make up a lot of decisions whatsoever. So entire on both sides need to be...
Yes, especially extension work, as you said.
Yes.
Lack of resources. I mean, for instance, just where I farm, for us to come do something in the farm, we're about 100 kilometers, 50, 60 kilometers from the nearest village where we can get, a vet representative from VEDA or whatever. And we have to transport them. The police, we have to transport them. I'm always thinking, people who don't have the funds to be able to transport these officers, because they say they never have cars, they never have vehicles to do the job. Yeah. That is in their job description. So is that an example of where extension work it's got a lot of holes?
Yeah, that's why, because I can agree. So the extension worker, then you need to resource them. So sometimes you find that the temporary extension workers, and then now that's when the economy is going down. So I think the ministry is trying to deal with this issue, whereby now we are getting the private sector in, the private vets and whatsoever, to come and and then also the ministry has taken a stand. We are having another department here, extension. To try to do that.
So to beef up that.
Yeah, right. So it's still at that stage now the filling up of posts and stuff like that.
Got you.
And also now also to try to now batho ba ikopanye. Let's say you are coming from Molopo farms. So what is the need for to come? Then the neighbor tomorrow is coming for the same guy and the same police, rather than have a centralized way how we do things.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things. And then ultimately everybody had a borehole, so we stopped working together. So the government is trying to go there. For example, a project which is being done under Conservation International, mo kgaolong ya Bokone Bophirima go Bobirwa le kgaolo ya Kgalagadi. So the main issue ke yone gantsi rather heading for health. Kana go re kganya go disa mo teng. That's when now you can pick disease early. You are closer to the animals, so you can be able to make them traceable by taking them making sure you pay attention to production parameters and stuff like that. So government currently we are trying to administer restructure to respond to these issues.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of countries came to learn from us. Now they're ahead of us. I think the other issue to implementation, which I believe the ministry is working very hard on to try to implement, and also to try to expansion of BVI. I think you already
Yes,
know
I'm
about
aware of it. Yes.
And we are also trying to expand more so that we respond adequately to the challenges, because a lot of threat is also coming from outside. So if, for example, Zimbabwe haikente, if you cannot supply South Africa with those 48 million doses or how many doses they want, the risk comes to us. So I think the government through the directive here, which also comes from there, that BV need to up their game in terms of production, and also to make sure that we deal with them, we look for alternative markets, in case EU said say there's an error. But the Kanya heading for health.
You think it will make a big dent?
It will make a huge. We have gone to Mozambique to benchmark. Their farmers by ikgobokantse, ba laola ko ba hodisang teng. They are managing the environment.
They rotate nicely.
They rotational grazing. Ba ikepela didiba gone go re ya ka re ntsana dikgomo tsa rona di kopana ha go tshwaiwa go ra re kgomo ke 5 player, for example, ha di hagolwa there's a price. Di tshwaiwa tsotlhe, we market together because nobody's coming to assist them. So the government coming through. So when the government falls down a little bit, now we are going down.
That's right.
So if we do this heading for health, to improve our grazing lands, we improve the production parameters. We know issues of animal health controls, they are in that regard. So re tlhaolele pona ko tshwantse e le teng. Namane ha e tsaba we are there because re a disa, re tlhaka dikgomo ka nako, bolwetse bo kgona go lemoga ka nako, bo thibelo ka nako. So we are all trying to do all these things to just head for health, improve the environment, then the output e tla bona gore namane di nna dintsi, matlhabelo a rona a bereka at a maximum capacity. Because if, for example, BMC sa bone dikgomo, or now they're producing at their loss, so they can't give you anything on top because the other money goes to production costs within the facility. So with low numbers, the abattoirs, both private and government. So we are currently doing. But one of the critical things, unfortunately, we as a country, I think there was somewhere there, we kind of slowed down on training of vets. So we have shortage of vets and we have lost some.
Is it?
So the government is working around how to fix. Like Harris Malale, we talk about sometimes the value that's attached to a vet. Sometimes probably people left because they
were not really valued.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that the government is doing that we have realized. How robatanga ka go operate po ya gago o santsa ale mo podcasting ya.
So do you think we can dream, or it's real that one day we will have a period of, just let's confine into Botswana, where we're free from FMD, the country is declared? Is that a dream? It can never really be realized?
In Botswana, we have a zonal approach to FMD. So very recently, you'd probably get some areas at the moment controls being lifted, free and for export, right? But we cannot ignore the threat that is coming from outside. That can only be attained through regional approach to control malwetse. So we need to get closer to South Africa as much as Zimbabwe and all the neighbors around it, as SADC. we need to have an approach like the South Americas have done. They've joined forces in terms of research, vaccine production. So we need to somehow look beyond the fences.
Because when we help Zimbabwe, we are helping ourselves.
Yes, when we vaccinate in Zimbabwe, like we used to do, assist them vaccinate that side.
It's good for us.
We are actually protecting ourselves. So it should be in the interest of every country within SADC to know that whatever I do here, I'm also protecting myself. Like last time you said, if the disease crosses into Botswana, and God forbid, now we might not have the financial power currently to control it. And then when our Botswana on your side, but now we become a threat. The tables are turning. So we are we are in one cycle. So it's best when we have a regional approach to things, and also as countries share issues, intelligence on issues of animal health. Because if you go to Borlong or Bukalaka, people that are living together. People are cousins and people go to funerals that side. We cannot close one eye and look away from those issues that we need to address, because some of the issues technically it's a matshelo a selegae gore gone mme a go nna yana, but the dream and the pressure is on us as a country, because we are known to be one of the best countries.
That's what I'm saying, to lead, to be able to lead. And when I was asking about Botswana having mastered, it was leading to how can Botswana assist the region as a leader, having such good controls, good management, compliance, and restricted the disease in just a few small areas. And I think what I'm picking for me is that unfortunately the cooperation structures at SADC level are fairly weak. Am I reading you correctly?
Unfortunately, the truth is that we are not where we're supposed to be as a region. How when bolwetse bo simolola ke bole bo tsena through Zambia, bo heta ba ko mahatsheng a mangwe bo bo hele bole ko Africa Borwa. We are not doing something wrong. We don't have to hide behind all those things. Ke kganya gore we need to work together to make sure that we do that. But ke kganya gore as a country we still are available to provide expertise, even though we have shortage of the personnel locally, but still but also one thing se re kgonang ka sone mo Botswana ke kganya gore there's political will. Fortunately, everybody's a farmer mo Botswana. So when you talk about the beef sector, even though agriculture might be contributing 2%, but 80% of that 2% is the livestock sector, which is beef. And almostly every Botswana has a cow. So it's a conversation that nobody can ignore. Transportang. If you don't, so I think that's where we are. We need to relook, join hands, and move forward together as a region.
No, just on finalizing, are there any critical issues that you think Botswana needs to know that maybe we've missed, and any just final guidance from the ministry that you like to alert Botswana ka tsone?
I think ka puso ya le Botswana re ka bala re kana ra go tswela ntse re hetola ditsamaiso tsa taolo matlhoko a leruo mo the movement controls. Yaanong ha di tswa yana ga re one of the critical things ke compliance. Ko re rotlhe re goge mmogo a kere re goge mmogo gore re itse gore you don't need 2 animals, you just need 1 animal to declare an outbreak. You don't need 10 animals or 100 animals. So kore ha motho a le boane go gongwe mo Botswana a sa dire ka ha ba bangwe re dirang ka teng, is going to cost us. Ke dumela gore setse re bone the impact of FMD in the last time ntse go tswetswe yana gore what does it mean? So it means somebody not having the protein more in the evening haja the supper or during lunch. That what it means. It's bread and butter issues. So go ra anong kgakolo tse di tswang go ba Ministry of tsa Taolo Matlhoko a Leruo, let's make sure that we comply. And those that don't comply, ba gaetsho a re kueng mokgosi, because it only takes one animal to cross to Zimbabwe or South Africa, bring back FMD, or from the one of the free zones to 6B or 3C, and bring back the disease. So as much as it is painful, it's better that we cooperate, and then in the shortest period of time we go back to normal. But let's say movement is being lifted in some areas in the near future, but we still be aware gore bolwetse santse bo le teng ko 3C le ko 6B. Bolwetse santse bo le teng ko Zimbabwe le ko South Africa, and it's getting closer to us. So kgakolo a rona ke our own main thing gore a re diseme re rapeleng. That this thing, ebile mo South Kana, we don't have a lot of fences and whatsoever, the impact will be huge. So kore la go ka lift a movement, a re tswelele ntse re tshwere jaaka re tse kore re tokagatse ha re leng teng gompieno. So ke dumela gore ka busela ke gore we need to watch and pray.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Baba.
Thank you very much.
There we go. I hope that was very helpful. At Growthwell, we try to demystify, democratize information, as Doc has been sharing with us. So I hope you found it extremely valuable in terms of the insights around controls of diseases, especially this FMD, which sits really as a sore point to our economy, to livelihoods in Southern Africa. So I hope you found that very valuable. See you next time. Enjoy. Guys, the Growthwell family, thank you very much for watching, and we really appreciate it for the growth that we've gone through the past year. But the bulk of you are still not subscribing on our YouTube channel, and we'd like to encourage you to please subscribe so that we can increase the viewership and the reach. And those that are not on YouTube, please also share, like, so that we can reach more people out there. Whilst on YouTube, we also have a very vibrant WhatsApp community that we will love you to join in as well, where we do debates on these issues. The community you can find on the description aspect of the YouTube. So go there and you can join our WhatsApp community. Thank you very much.